Definitely not. That's the self-destruction of that's the self-destruction right there. Think something that is definitely coming from hell. Okay, we're talking about suicide. Suicide is not meditation, folks. That's the killing of self. That's the killing. That's the physical killing of oneself. Who? Now, I bet you didn't see that coming. The devil, the devil doesn't have to take lives or lie about it because we're doing it. We're, Satan is lying, and we're getting away with the physicalities of those lies. You know, where suicide is safe. No, how if suicide was safe, we'd be killing ourselves all the time here. You know, but that but let's back up here. I'm not talking about suicidal missions here. I'm talking about Satan. You know, the king over all hell. You know, which which sadly he's not even the Duke of Hell. Okay, it get that straight. All right, all his demon helpers are, well, I'm just gonna say it. There's no physical need for them either. People get, you know, people doing everything, and I'm not talking about we like we're responsible. I'm not saying that. We if we knew if we didn't if we knew it, if we didn't know what if we knew what we were doing, we probably would know the outcome of it too, which we do, which we don't, which we don't. Okay, if we knew what we were doing, we would, we would also know the outcome of it, which we don't. So I guess we're safe there, you know. Rue, rue, war, destruction, self-destruction, um, wars, rumors of wars, the second coming, uh, fake second coming, really fake second comings of Jesus. It hasn't happened yet, okay, folks. So don't be too much of a so don't be too much in a hurry to get it over with, because it hasn't even occurred yet. The Antichrist, you know, the the fella who's supposed to be the fella who's supposed to be the cutting edge, fake Jesus Christ. Okay, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work here, and it barely works up there. It barely doesn't work up there, heaven, because these aren't events that, you know, like, like, if it, I'm not sure if the planet is running out of steam or what, but right, like, I mean, I do think I'm really considering feeling sorry for Satan, because well, he's sitting down there hooking up lies. People are walking around up here doing what he's doing, what Satan has only lied about. Like, don't, like, I mean, do you feel that at all? People are doing, without knowing it, everything the devil, Satan, is capable of doing. But is he not doing it? But is he doing it? No. He's not doing it. He's lying. sending out disease, sending out dismemberment, but you know, the people on Earth are doing that. They're taking his place, you know. And I really hate to bring this up, but since we're talking about all things hell, I think it's accurate. Hitler. Okay, maybe that's cutting a little deep. How about, like, I know people don't want to talk about Hitler or Joseph Stalin, but I think, but I think it's important to realize that not everything the devil does, he's actually done yet, because since the days of Hitler, and the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK, which how those are a bunch of really fun guys. Not anyway. What do you call that? Angels from God? I should think not, because if they were, we would all be dead. Okay, we would all be in a jumbo drop Jumanji. I said Jumanji. You heard that right? Of events that, right? I mean, think about it. The devil's giving credit. The devil's giving credit for stuff he's only lying about. Talk about fake. I mean, talk about like you want to talk about a good horror story that hasn't even happened yet. Damn, that's a good one. You want to talk about a horror story that hasn't even happened yet? That's a darn good one. You know, the devil's getting the credit for stuff that he's capable of, but we're not. The devil is getting credit for only half doing what we're doing on this planet. I'm real sorry down there, Satan. People are doing that, not him. Oh, and there's other big pile of malarkey. Well, the devil made me do it. Do what? It's not the devil's fault that you bought that dress and then found out later that you couldn't wear it. That's your fault. That's your fault, not the devil's. So how can you say the devil made you do it? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense to blame the devil for everything. Like I'm pretty sure he's down there wondering, why are people putting credit to me when they're the ones doing it? Think about it. Blame the devil for everything. Blame the devil that you have no money in the bank. Blame the devil that you have more enemies than friends. Blame the devil for eating too much cake. Or a pie. That wasn't his fault. That was yours. Okay, let's get that straight for a sec. Let's get that straight. All right. Nobody's fault is an understatement. Somebody has to have fault in there, even though they didn't mean, even though they didn't mean to do it, quote unquote. No, yeah. If they didn't mean to do it, why did they do it? self-manipulation, self-destruction, destruction, uh, rumors of wars. That it, oddly enough, the devil doesn't raise war. You know? So that's an understatement, saying that he's to blame for war. For a hell of a guy, like I mean, for a fella who's and I did say fella, for a fella who's probably like, 16,245 years old. That's a lot to blame the devil for, you know, like, for a fella who's about maybe 1,000 centuries old, he's getting hit. He's getting the hit for all the cake you ate. He's to blame. He's to blame for all the things you suffered. He's to blame for stuff that he didn't even have to. He didn't create war. He may have helped in a certain area, but he didn't do it. But he did not create that. People didn't. People did that. People created war. People, started slaying people with swords and stuff. That's not the devil's work. The devil, Satan, is way more biblically inclined than most of us think. Like he's often talked to God about things, and how to challenge people. That's Satan's real work. Challenging people. Seeing how far they're going to go before they crack open. That's the job of Satan. Right there, Jack. That's the real job. That's the real job of Satan. Like, he's not blaming. Like, he's helping God. Nobody thinks about that. He's actually helping God to create illusion and around what people thought they knew. He's actually helping God to do stuff. When the group, when God created Adam and Eve, what do you think the devil did? Sit down having an apple picnic? Like when God created Adam and Eve, what do you think Satan was doing after that? Sitting around eating apples? No, he was trying to lure them to eat from that one tree that God said don't eat from that tree. I mean, think about it. For a demonical figure, he's not actually doing a lot of good. He's actually doing a lot of misguided work. Because without him, Eve wouldn't have eaten that apple and then give to Adam. Without him, there wouldn't be any challenge in the world. Think about that for a minute. There wouldn't be any challenge if it's all just one big thing without any challenge to it. So when it's him, I'm not saying you gotta thank the devil for that. I'm just saying maybe it's a bad thing. Maybe it's a good thing there is evil in the world, because without evil in the world, the good wouldn't be able to conquer it. Have you ever thought of that? Have you ever thought of that for a second? Yes, no. You have not thought about that for a second because you haven't really figured that out yet. The devil asked God. The devil and God are still working together. It's just that one is the demon slayer of hell, and the other is like the divine father of heaven. You know, like I'm not giving empathy to the devil. I'm just saying maybe we should put more credit. Maybe we should put more credit on what we are doing, and put more emphasis, and put way more emphasis on what Satan is doing with God. Believe it or not, Satan is actually helping God to give people challenges. You know, and he was, and this is what it's kind of looking like. Satan, okay, Satan, you see that? Okay, God, you see that? So and so is not praying. Oh, okay. Not praying. How do you think we should do this? Satan, what do you think? I think so and so should be praying, but just a minute, God, give him a challenge. And then God going, okay, what kind of challenge? You know, like, and Satan's like, give this guy the gumption to realize what he did in his life so far. You know, that's how Satan works. He doesn't work. He manipulates you. Okay, he manipulates you. But just a minute, just a minute. The devil's stupid. I did not say Satan was stupid. He's far smart. He's far from stupid. He was nearly challenging authority. He's challenging authority to how far they're gonna go before they crack, and do the things that he's only manipulated about. You know, like I'm thinking, you know, like everyone, like everyone's caught up with the fantasy that maybe Satan's doing more than we think. He's well, he is and he isn't. Okay. Like the devil's not like he's not okay. He was an angel at one point in heaven, but he wasn't going to bow down to a man. He wasn't going to bow down. He was not going to bow down to Jesus. Okay, let's get that straight. That did not. That did occur at one point. Lucifer. Okay, and for maybe like a couple centuries, maybe a bit more, and for a couple centuries, maybe 3 centuries after that, things started going down to hell. Lucifer was not satisfied with Jesus. He was always trying to get him out of the way, you know, take his place in heaven, but he was granted the opposite. He was the demon of hell, and is, but he didn't just do that. He had to have, you know, a following, which would have been like centuries after he was created. Okay? It didn't happen. It did not happen in a month when he fell. It did not happen in a month. It happened after the, you know, after the maybe the first 2 centuries. This is it. This is the fairy tale. This is the fairy tale. That is not the fairy tale. That's real. That's reality. That's real. Okay, Mother, Father Goose. Mother Goose has no place in this because this Mother Goose has no place in this because it actually is real. Mother Goose has no place in this because Mother Goose is the fairy tale, goose. And I'm not saying fairy tales didn't come from real things. They didn't. They did. Real origins. But I'm talking something far more off to the other side. I'm talking. I'm talking about occurrences. I'm talking about events that go so far back into time in the Bible. It was the Bible. It was not the Bible that started that off. It was a real event first before it was part of the Bible. So, but so like I'm thinking like this other hell that I'm wanting to talk about is the hell on earth that everyone's going through. We're all in hell, apparently. Everybody. It's it's just that it's not. It's just that it's not called that. It's called Earth. Now if you want to get now. This would be a good chance to ignore me if you don't want to go any further and get really terrified by this. But I think, but if you stick with me, you'll find out what I'm talking about. Heck, hell, Earth is the new hell. Okay, it's also the new heaven. So it's a yin yang. There's we got heaven, we got hell, we got paradise. We even have churches and that, and we can just sit and we can decide. Free will. Free will comes in hand with this. We can decide if we're going to be bad people or good people, religious or actually following Jesus. And I am not going to sugarcoat this. Some of you might want me to because of the rather terrifying content here, but it's not half as terrifying as you all thought it was. This is real. The devil's not. The devil is real. It's just that he's not. It's just that he's not a tragic figure. Some lonely tragic figure. He's working with God to get us moving into doing right or wrong. There's that narrative that he's actually helping God and God's helping him. Like, I know, I realize this is dark content. I realize that. But, but we need to be prepared. We need to be prepared and ready for Jesus when it comes around for the second time. There is no third time here. Second, and that's it. I'm not going to shoot my mouth off saying this is a biblical warning because it's everything else but that. This is real. And I'm sorry that well, actually, I'm not sorry. The devil is the demon, is the devil, but he's not half responsible for the things we've already done. You know, he's not. He's manipulated us into that threshold. Think, and like we're so convinced that he is part of it, doing this, but he's not. The people are doing it. The people are doing it. He's kind of like sitting back, kind of taking forward, and maybe doing a little this, a little that, but it's not much, you know. The devil might be just picking his teeth, doing whatever, and maybe creating the illusion that we're all following him. He's like if he wanted to, he could turn into Jesus and come back, and we all think that Jesus, and we're all thinking it's Jesus, but it's not. What do you think what do you think the Antichrist stuff is about? Right? Like, I mean, that could very well be the guy that's going to bring us to hell, is going to bring us down to hell with one word. Like, I mean, you know, we gotta freaking think about this. Like with like if you want to go out if you want to go out into the street and find out about this that way, okay, fine. You know, I salute you, but they're not gonna but they're just gonna lead you down some sinkhole, telling you what you didn't want to hear. I'm telling you what you want to. I'm telling you what you need to hear. What you need to get the fear into you that we're not going to be here forever. And while we're at it, talking about the devil. You know, like Satan is only partly responsible for half the chaos that we're doing here on Earth. And what we're doing on Earth, we would like I am sure that somewhere in hell, the devil's going, yeah, who am I going to manipulate into believing that I'm Jesus Christ? You know, that I'm where the future's, where, you know, like, I mean, geez, come on, like, he's a manipulator, a master manipulator. Not the Disney Satan, but the real Satan. And that needs to be addressed. That this is not a Disney movie and he's in it. No, this is real. And like, I'm not trying to tell you what to believe or not what to or what not to believe. I'm putting this out there that, wait a minute, you know, Earth is a heaven and hell of a much different nature, but it's still there, you know. And whether we want to believe it or not, there is a second coming of Jesus Christ, the Antichrist, and the whatever else. But it doesn't there. But it doesn't end there. It does. It doesn't. If anything, it's just the start of everything. Like, you know, I'm just rightfully trying to help you out. You know, like bringing down whatever. You know, I'm just kind of, I just think, I don't think it's right. If you want to, I do think, I just don't think it's right to be blaming Satan for everything. Like, he's really responsible for you buying that dress that doesn't fit. You know, he is. He's not. He's a master manipulator, but he is talking to God still and stuff. You know, and he's helping God. He's helping God in his own way. Like in his own devilish way, he's helping God to create challenges for people and see how far they can go without losing their head with it. You know, because the devil likes that. The devil loves that. Where as soon as somebody starts screaming, and just because they couldn't get into their car, the devil likes that. The devil loves that. He likes to think he's got control over people, and he does to a degree. But even the devil realizes that he's got to take on different strategies to get people convinced that they're right. Like even the devil can, does quote scriptures. He was there when Jesus was, the first Lent. He was trying to work Jesus off the path, and Jesus was not gonna budge. So because he knew, because Jesus knew that he was ready. Jesus was ready for the devil, and the devil was ready to give him distractions. So if anything, Satan is more of a, he's a compass. Compass might not be the right word, but he's definitely a dial operator. To get you into believing that, right? And I'm just saying, maybe there's something there. It turns out that like I mean you can value, you can see this thing and wonder, you know, if any of this makes sense. It's coming out of me, but I don't. But I do feel sorry. But I do feel sorry for Satan. You know, generally because people are doing what he's doing, but they don't realize it. Everything from like if you weren't careful, you could create another hell just by having a lack of knowledge of yourselves, just by having a lack of knowledge of what you're capable of. No, no. Just because you don't know what you're doing doesn't mean you can't turn around. I'm just meaning maybe half of what Satan can do is capable of Well, he can't do it. If he can't do it, if we're the ones that are doing it. Ever thought of that? Satan Satan cannot do Satan cannot do what he wants if we're the ones that is doing it for him. So excuse me for apologizing here. So it's so like Satan can't do what he wants because we're doing it for him. I'm not saying we are. Like we're manipulating each other into doing stuff. We're also creating disease and creating war and and uh, and like turning things around and blaming the devil for it, Satan, when really it's our fault. Satan is a manipulator, but he also knows what we're about. You know, he's not trying to get us to doing. He's not trying to get us to do it what he wants. He's manipulating us into doing it. That's the difference. He's not trying to get us to do what he's not trying to get us to do what he wants. He's trying to manipulate us into doing what he wants. Manipulating us to do what he wants. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do it. But so far we have been doing it. So just a helpful hint, you know, if you really are trying to, you know, like it's just a helpful hint. Like if you really were going, like I'm not saying you gotta agree with me on this. I'm just saying we gotta be ready for you know the second coming of Jesus and get on board before and get on board to be ready and get on board to being ready for it before any of it takes place. Because if it takes place and we're not aware of it, that's it. You know, there's no third chance. He's not coming back for the third time. Jesus, you know, like he's not a genie. It's not like we got three wishes and then that's it. Jesus is coming back for the second time. Satan's going, you know, for a 1,000-year vacation. Satan's getting dropped out of the. Satan's getting dropped into the lake of fire, into the lake of fire, for 1,000 more centuries, and his reign's coming to an end. Okay, that is true. Or if you like, I suppose if you want the Mother Goose version of this, you can watch it in other. You can watch that in other channels, but in this channel, I'm either speaking the truth, or you know, like if you want the Mother Goose version of this right here, you can check for it in other channels in YouTube. But that's not this channel here. I'm serious about stuff, and but just because I'm serious doesn't mean I can't make something out of it. You know. Chaos, war, stealing, war, and rumors of war, and self-destruction. You know, anything suicidal. All of those things the devil is capable of, but he can't do it. He's outnumbered because, well, everyone else is doing it on Earth. How can Satan do any of that when we're in the way of it? You know, how can Satan do anything without us getting in the way of it? I'm not defending Satan. I am not defending the fellow. I'm not. I'm Catholic. I believe in God. But just because I believe in God doesn't mean I don't believe there isn't a devil. You know, it doesn't mean that. It just means, you know, I'm ready for it. I'm ready to take my leave of this planet and and go to heaven. Now I'm ready. I am ready, but I'm not going to cast all of my chips like that. You know, I am not going to gamble my way in there. I'm going to do what I'm doing on Earth. You know, like I'm ready. I'm ready to go. But, just a minute. Just because I'm ready to go to heaven and be taken up by Jesus doesn't mean he's come yet. Okay? I believe in God. I believe in the existence of hell and the devil. But I can believe all that and still be on the winning side with God, with Jesus. You know? That's what I'm saying. You know? I knew, like, I know Satan can do, like, I know Satan can do what he wants to try to get into me, but, and never be down the wrong road, or at least, what the word I just used 100 times in here, uh, he can try to manipulate me, but, but I, but I know what I'm going for. I know. It's a challenge, a test to see if I, among others, have what it takes to keep my belief. I know what it's like to be tested and challenged. I'm challenged every day. Everyone else is. Everyone else is challenged every day. It's how we handle it that gets us into heaven. It's how we handle it that Jesus will say, okay, you know, so and so say Brendan. You know, Brendan Solomon has done what has done, you know, what God in heaven has wanted. Say it's me. Yeah. Say, okay, Jesus is looking at my file, or like whatever up there, and Jesus says, okay, Brendan Solomon. Um, he's helped a lot of people. He's he's trying to uh he's trying to do things that he's on the winning side, but he's easier to but he's challenged to throw a brick at some, you know, he's challenged to throw a brick at a wall. He's probably not going to do it, but he's, you know, and I'm not saying I'm talking complete sense in this video, but maybe I am. That's up to you to decide, you know, the folks that are watching this, if I'm making sense or not. And I'm just saying that without evil in the world, without Satan, we probably wouldn't be able to get into heaven, because good needs to conquer evil. If everybody was just good, if we were all good, there wouldn't be any need for evil. And that, when you think about it, is wrong. You know, we need evil in the world because we want to conquer it. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of the greatest challenge ever. Without evil, we can't conquer. Right? And when we get to heaven, or like wherever, heaven, we'll have whatever, like I I kid you not, we're all gonna get there. But if we don't have evil in the world, if we don't have Satan, there's no way to getting into heaven, because we gotta be challenged every day. We gotta be challenged. We gotta know how to handle the challenges down here, because if we don't know how to handle challenges down here on earth, the heck with going to heaven. The heck with going to heaven if we're not challenged down here. Because like, there'll be no chance in going to heaven if we don't know how to handle a simple challenge. That's what this is. And that's what the devil's trying to manipulate. That's exactly what Satan's trying to manipulate, is that if we travel his road, we'll be free. We might just be free, but we'll be free without God. And that's what Satan's trying to manipulate. But on the other hand, Satan is the reason why we're all here in the first place. If it wasn't for Satan or evil, right? Like, you gotta be a pretty, like even Hitler at a point was just a kid. He didn't know he was gonna go. He didn't know he was gonna go AWOL. He did, but he didn't know that at birth. Like, has anyone thought about that? At one point, Hitler was a good guy. He was a kid, and I'm pretty sure, the Fuhrer at a point wanted to be on the winning end with God. But the way he was raised, the way he was reared up and raised, he would have had no choice in the matter. He would have had to do what he did. And that's the funny thing about Hitler. He thought he was doing good. He wasn't, but he thought he was doing good. That's the difference between doing good and thinking you're doing good. Like, And I realize this is something of a long video. But yeah, like we need evil in the world. Not so much because we need it. We need evil in the world to be able to be challenged. Without evil in the world, there is no challenge. And we probably won't be able to, like, God is all knowing. So is Jesus. They're both all knowing, and they know what we're going to do every day, because that's the way we were written. God knows. He's not stupid. Neither is Satan. God is merely trying to right God is nearly trying to bring us to the road that leads to redemption, meaning heaven, and it's the devil's job to manipulate and get us